Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook News. Have you ever had a simple post make your day feel lighter? As if the world suddenly became a little kinder? That's exactly what many people felt when Jimin reappeared on Instagram, standing beside J-Hope, carrying a warmth that can't quite be explained by logic alone. But as always, that small happiness doesn't stop at the surface. Because when we truly pay attention, not just look, details begin to speak. Jimin's hair is longer, healthier, carefully maintained. His roots were deliberately dyed. And naturally, one question arises. What was all of this prepared for? Today, we're not just talking about a post. We're talking about patterns, about small details and connections that never happen by coincidence. Because the more these pieces come together, the clearer one long-avoided possibility becomes. Jimin's Instagram update with J-Hope felt like a sudden beam of light cutting through an exhausting day. It's difficult to put into words how warm it felt to see them together again. This wasn't just an ordinary post. It was the kind that instantly shifts your mood, makes your chest feel lighter, your week feel better, and somehow makes life itself feel a little kinder. There was a quiet happiness in it, unforced and genuine, the kind that only appears when something long missed finally comes back into view. And of course, because no detail ever goes unnoticed, Jimin's hair immediately became the center of attention. It's longer now, and let's say this clearly. Please keep the scissors away from Jimin. That hair deserves to grow. With long blonde hair, Jimin looks almost unreal, too soft, too ethereal, too beautiful to be described as simply handsome. The length frames his face perfectly, softening his gaze while highlighting his features, radiating an elegance that feels both fragile and strong. It looks so natural, as if this aesthetic was always meant for him. But there's another detail, quieter, subtler, and because of that, far more telling. Jimin's roots were dyed. This is not trivial. For years, Jimin has been known as someone who doesn't change his hair carelessly. He has said himself that he only fixes it when necessary, when there's a reason, when something matters. So when his roots are deliberately maintained, this isn't just an aesthetic choice. It's a signal. And this is where the mind starts to run. Theories begin to form, hope blends with logic, and one thought becomes difficult to ignore. If Jimin took the time for such precise detail, then something is likely being prepared. Something that requires care. Something he wants to face as the best version of himself. Something we may see sooner than we think. We want to see them again. Together in front of the camera, on stage, in interviews, live streams, even in unintentional moments. We miss them, and that longing inevitably leads to one other name. Jungkook. Waiting for his update feels like holding your breath. You don't know when it will come, but you're certain it will. Within the fandom, some theories are born purely from wishful thinking, but others are built on something far more solid. Patterns, years of observation, and repeated details that refuse to disappear. This theory belongs to the second category. Not because we want to force a narrative, and not because we want to invent a story, but because too many pieces, when put together, begin to form a picture that makes sense. One of the most consistently avoided, minimized, or deliberately ignored possibilities is this: that Jimin and Jungkook may have quietly lived together during a certain period, before everything became too visible, too sensitive, and too complicated. To be clear, this is not a claim or an absolute truth. It is a possibility built from public records, official documents, press reports, indirect evidence, and most importantly, consistent behavioral patterns. Since at least 2019, records show that Jungkook had a registered address at 91 Hanam. This surfaced alongside media reports about his Itaewon property purchase. In those articles, 91 Hanam was initially and incorrectly mentioned as BTS's residence before being corrected to Hanam the Hill. However, the appearance of 91 Hanam was not a coincidence. Those same reports stated that it was unknown whether Jungkook would move after his lease ended in September 2021, and public records from that period confirmed that his registered address was indeed 91 Hanam. This is not speculation, but official documentation. At the same time, property regulations allowed 91 units to be leased with an option to purchase. Jungkook was not the buyer, but Jimin officially purchased a unit there in 2021, and Namjoon is also known to have owned a residence in the same complex. These are solid facts, Jungkook had a registered address at 91 Hanam, Jimin rented and later purchased an apartment there, and Namjoon lived in the same complex as well. What is often overlooked, however, is the dynamic. Despite living in the same complex, we never saw Jimin say he couldn't go anywhere without Namjoon. Nor did we see Jungkook constantly returning home with him. There was no daily dependency, which suggests separate living spaces. With Jimin and Jungkook, the pattern is entirely different. Since 2019, they have been repeatedly seen sharing cars, not occasionally but consistently. Jimin openly said he couldn't go anywhere without Jungkook, a statement he never made about Namjoon. Despite Namjoon living in the same complex, that difference matters. If all three lived in the same complex, yet Jimin and Jungkook consistently moved together while neither depended on Namjoon, then logically it suggests different living dynamics. Namjoon occupied his own space, while Jimin and Jungkook functioned as a single unit. This idea is further supported by a 2021 account from a ventilation technician who reported seeing Namjoon, Jimin, and Jungkook at the complex, implying visits to more than one unit. Perhaps the most critical detail is that Jungkook used the 91 Hanam address for official correspondence related to his Itaewon property. This property was leased to an embassy, involving legal contracts and formal documentation, where the address used must be an active, real residence. This places 91 at the center of Jungkook's practical life and strengthens the possibility of cohabitation. Not long after these details surfaced, the narrative that Jungkook had nothing to do with 91 quietly faded. Later, Big Hit rented him an apartment at Brunnan, and his first live stream there showed an almost empty space, suggesting a sudden relocation rather than a long-established home. When everything is put together, registered addresses, property ownership, behavioral patterns, daily dependency, and an abrupt move, the idea that Jimin and Jungkook lived together at 91 between mid-2019 and April 2021 no longer feels like fiction. Is it absolute truth? No. Could it be wrong? Yes. Does it make sense? Very much so. In the end, this doesn't require an official confession. Addresses can change, narratives can be obscured, and rumors can be denied. But dynamics never lie. And even when others shared the same space, we never saw what we consistently see with Jimin and Jungkook. The way they move as one unit, depend on each other, and show up for one another without explanation. Maybe we'll never receive a direct answer. But sometimes, truth doesn't come as a confession. It comes as patterns that repeat themselves, even when the world tries to look away. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next Jikook news.